Hi, my name is Candy. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you are returning. Today I am bringing you a rather large pile of possibilities for February's reading prompt for my own reading challenge, which is Fanguary. We're about to hit Fanguary, so a whole month of reading vampire fiction, which is really new to me. I've never read any vampire fiction. I love Gothic fiction, but I've never read any vampire. I'm not a horror reader, so it'll be interesting to see how this goes. So I had to go shopping for books because I've never read anything in this genre before. I had a few books and then World of Books sucked me in and I found a few more, so I have been a little bit extravagant for February. Having said that though, I think the most expensive book I bought was £3, so there you go, it swings and roundabouts. So I've got quite a lot of vampire fiction to bring you. None of it I have read, but I thought let's just go through it in case you want to take part and you're looking for something to read as well. It might give you titles to look out for in the future. Anyway, that's what today is. It's a pile of possibilities. I've got a few here. I think I will take you over to where my Dracula dolls are guarding the vampire books. Let's show you the books I already had in before I added 4 more books to the pile. Now, this big pile here, most of these in this pile I was given these when I went into a charity shop. She handed me a whole bag for free, but I'm not sure if any of those are vampire books. I'm going to have to go through that pile, but I do have vampire books here, I have vampire books here, and I have one hiding down there on the bottom. Right, let's get these books out. I'll go through this pile and I'll see exactly what I've got to share. Right then, I have got an entire desk of books in front of me, and also one of my all-time favourite dolls ever. This was the very first Dracula that I ever bought myself, and I felt so in love with her. I said at the time, this is my all-time favourite doll. I still think she probably is my very all-time favourite doll. So she's coming out for this one to stand on the shelf there and to watch proceedings, so that's fabulous. So without doubt, the first one that I am starting off with is Bram Stoker's Dracula. I have never ever read this book. Like I said, I've never read a vampire fiction. I've never watched anything to do with vampires in a movie or on the TV. It's going to be really interesting. Why now? Well, I think I'm getting more used to sort of dread or horror. I loved reading Gothic November last year. I've said it over and over again, but it just really made me realise, like, I like that dark, eerie atmosphere, so that's why now. And I really wanted to start with a classic, so I'm going to read Dracula for the first time ever, and I'm really looking forward to it. Now, the big question that I want to kind of answer for myself as part of my literature studies this year is, what makes vampire fiction Gothic or horror? And I do have a couple of non-fiction books that I'd also like to bring into the mix. So I bought this first one last year. Oh, by the way, this one, I think I paid 50p for this one in a charity shop. This one I paid a couple of pounds for. I got this on World of Books. This is Sue Chaplin's Gothic literature. It's an analysis of key texts and debates, extended commentaries, exploration of historical, social and cultural contexts, annotations clarifying literary terms, and timelines in there. So I'm wondering if that will give me an idea of, I mean, I know what makes Gothic literature, but I want to know the difference between Gothic and horror. So I've got this one. I think out of all the non-fiction, this is the one that I want to read first. So these two, I think I'm going to put right up there at the top of my reading for February. Now, before I go any further and share this huge desk full of books, I just want to say that since I've been making content for like a more booktube focus. I have felt myself falling into the trap of chasing reading and doing tons and tons of reading above anything else. And I hate to say it, but being worried about how many books I'm reading. I am going to nip this in the bud immediately, and I'm going to say even if I just get 2 books read, or even 1 book, even if I just spend all of February sinking into Dracula, writing about it, analysing the character, using this book along with it, if I just do that this month, then that will be enough for me. So I'm sharing everything I've bought just because it's fun and it's possibilities for you guys, but you do not want anybody to think that I am going to attempt to read like 10 of these or 8 of these. I want to really sink into fiction and read slowly. So this vampire shelf is going to keep me going for years, and I got them because I found things really cheap for under £1, £2, £1, 50 pence. I was given some of these books free as well, so I grabbed them when I saw them super cheap, not because I want to put pressure on me or on you to read tons. I think making book content, it can so easily push you into feeling like you've got to read fast. And I don't want to read fast. I'd prefer to bring you a video of me having read 1 book and what I did with that 1 book and the adventures I went on with that 1 book and how I analysed that 1 book. So I just thought I'd put that out there before I share this huge haul, which kind of seems counterintuitive to what I've just said. But like I say, if you see a bargain going for 50 pence, you're going to pick it up and put it on the shelf. Okay, that said, the other Gothic fiction book, this I saw on Rachel's channel, Second Thoughts About the Mission, Gothic fiction, The Cambridge Companion. I bought this because I am doing that DIY literature degree. Gothic literature is a second area of study. I also found this for £3 on Wilder Books. When I went searching for it, it was very expensive in other places, so I grabbed it while I could see it cheap. This is in place of my teacher. So books like this are in place of being in a classroom setting doing a proper literature degree. I will pick books like this up for my specialist areas of study, which at the moment are fairy tales and retellings and Gothic fiction. I am going to pick these books up when I find them. So that is another possibility. It might be one that you look at picking up if you are interested in sinking deeper into these books and literally slowing down our reading. So on the contents page, we've got things like Gothic in Western culture, the genesis of Gothic fiction, the 1790s, the effulgence of Gothic, French and German Gothic, the beginnings, Gothic fictions and romantic writing in Britain, Scottish and Irish Gothic, English Gothic theatre, the Victorian Gothic in English novels and stories, the rise of American Gothic, British Gothic fiction from 1885 to 1930, the Gothic on the screen, colonial and post-colonial Gothic, the Caribbean, the contemporary Gothic, why we need it, and after Gothic, consumption, machines, and black holes. So that sounds like it splits it up with geography and history, so that's going to be quite interesting. These were recent charity shop finds. These were both in my charity shop up the road where the books are 2 for £1, so these were 50 pence each. For Farnsworth. This says The Ultimate Secret, The Ultimate Agent, The President's Vampire. Sharp and ambitious Zach Barrows is on his way up, but when he gets the call from the White House, it's not quite the promotion he expected. Zach is to be the new political liaison officer to America's best kept secret, Nathaniel Cade, the President's Vampire. And Cade is the world's only hope against a horrifying terrorist threat. So vampires as a terrorist threat could be good. Then we've got Scarlett St. Clair's King of Battle and Blood. It says that she was the author of A Touch of Darkness, which I don't know. Isolde de Lara considers her wedding day to be her death day. To end a years-long war and protect the people of her kingdom, she is to marry the vampire king, Adrian Alexander Vasiliev, and kill him. But her assassination attempt is thwarted. Adrian warns that if Isolde tries to kill him again, he will raise her as the undead. Faced with the possibility of becoming the thing she hates most, Isolde seeks other ways to defy him and survive the violence and political machinations of Adrian's brutal vampire court. Except it isn't the court she ends up fearing the most, it's Adrian and her intense attraction to him. This is a romance. Wrapped in mystery and a past he refuses to discuss, Adrian nevertheless starts to become less of a monster to Isolde. Despite their undeniable chemistry, Isolde can't help but wonder why the king, fierce, complicated, ambitious, and at times inexplicably tender, chose her as a consort. The answer will shatter the world. So, a romance fantasy, that sounds like it could either be absolutely brilliant or slightly dire. I have a mixed response to romance. If it's more fantasy than romance, we're going to be okay with that one. Okay, we're going to go to Anne Rice now. Of course, there is the possibility that you might want to go to the incredible books of Anne Rice. She has a whole series of books, which I'm sure you all know about, called The Vampire Chronicles. I have never read any of the Vampire Chronicles, not a single one of them. I only discovered Anne Rice last year reading the Mayfair Witches trilogy, which I'm finished book 1. I'm about to start book 2. So when I found out that there was an entire Vampire Chronicle series as well, I started looking for them in charity shops. So I found the very first one, Interview with a Vampire, for £1, but I don't want to start it until I've got other books that follow it. I have found other books, but not 2 or 3 or 4. I found some older books. I found a double book here with Pandora and the Vampire Armand. I think those are later in the Chronicles. I found a hardback version of Prince Lestat and the Realms of Atlantis, which is again a later one as well. And I found the Blackwood Farm one from the Vampire Chronicles as well. They're all massive books. All of these Anne Rice books I found in the same charity shop, all at the same time. They were £1 a piece. Apart from this one, which I think I found this one for, I can't even remember now, that might have been £1 as well. So I don't want to touch the Anne Rice books because I haven't got the whole series, but I thought I would mention them here in case you are interested in looking into them. Some of you guys mentioned Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is the best-selling prequel to the most famous horror story of all. So this is written by a family member, and this tells the story before Dracula. It is 1868. 21-year-old Bram Stoker has barricaded himself inside the tower of a long-abandoned abbey. He is armed with mirrors and crucifixes, holy water, some white roses, a notebook and a gun. His only solace is a bottle of brandy. His fervent prayer is that he will survive the night. Time is short. Determined to leave a record of what he has witnessed, the young man begins to write, and the tale he tells is an extraordinary one. For on the other side of that locked door waits an ungodly nightmare that he hoped had ended years before. Speculation still surrounds what was in the missing first 100 pages of the original Dracula. Inspired by the notebooks and journals Bram Stoker left behind, Dracula takes us back to the very beginning to reveal what drove him to write one of the most terrifying stories ever told. So I think that's fascinating that Bram Stoker's own diaries and notes have been used to inspire this book. It kind of makes Dracula feel a lot more real. And on the same theme, I then discovered last week that there is a sequel. So this one comes before, then we've got Dracula, and then this one also written by Dacre Stoker and Ian Holt this time. Dracula the Undead. This is the official sequel to Dracula. So I got this from World of Books just for a couple of pounds. It says on the back, based on Bram Stoker's own notes, this authorised sequel is written by a direct descendant of Stoker and a well-known Dracula historian. Quincy Harkett, son of Jonathan and Mina, having left his law studies for the stage, stumbles upon the troubled production of Dracula at the Lyceum, directed by Bram Stoker himself. The play plunges Quincy into the world of his parents' terrible secrets. Can it be that history is about to repeat itself? For 25 years since Van Helsing and his allies reduced Dracula to dust, evil stalks Europe once again. One by one, the band of heroes is being hunted down. Has Dracula somehow survived to seek his revenge, or is there another, more sinister force at work? So I find that really interesting, that series of events with the book as a middle point and the notebooks of Bram Stoker being used as the books either side. So your prequel, the tale itself, and then the official sequel. That might be a nice trilogy to read as a sort of introduction to the world of vampire fiction. However, last year for my birthday, I bought myself this new release book, Lucy Undying, and I've not read it yet. So this is by Kirsten White. And it's hardback. I mean, a brand new hardback new release is incredibly rare for me to buy myself. I think I was just right in the middle of Gothic November. My birthday was at the end of November, and I just saw this online whilst I was looking at Gothic fiction. To be honest, I fell in love with the cover, and I know you shouldn't do that, but I just really did. And I think it sounds fantastic. It says that her name was written in the pages of someone else's story. Lucy Westenra was one of Dracula's first victims, but her death was only the beginning. Lucy rose from the grave a vampire and has spent her immortal life trying to escape from Dracula's clutches and trying to discover who she really is and what she truly wants. So this follows like a spin-off of Dracula, and it follows Lucy up to the present day, where she is living with her girlfriend, I think, but Dracula is trying to track her down. We've got the tale itself, we've got a prequel, we've got a sequel, and we've got a spin-off. So I'm really keen to get to this one. This is the problem, isn't it? It's trying to get to them without rushing them. So this one, my gosh, this one sounds absolutely brilliant. This is Woman Eating by Claire Coda, a dazzling, funny and addictive debut novel about identity and belonging told through the eyes of a young vampire. Lydia is hungry. She's always wanted to try sashimi, ramen, the food her Japanese father liked to eat. And then there is bubble tea and the vegetables grown by the other young artists at the studio that she is secretly squatting in. But Lydia can't eat any of this. The only thing that she can digest is blood, and it turns out that sourcing fresh pig's blood in London, where she is living away from her vampire mother for the first time, is much more difficult than she anticipated. Then there are the humans, the people at the gallery where she interns, the strange men who follow her after dark, and Ben, a goofy grinned artist she is developing feelings for. Lydia knows that they are her natural prey, but she can't bring herself to feed on them. If Lydia is to find a way to exist in the world, she must reconcile the conflicts within her, between her demon and her human sides, her mixed ethnic heritage and her relationship with food, and in turn humans. Before any of this, however, she must eat. I think that this one just sounds really fascinating. This one, when I first saw it on YouTube talked about, really grabbed my attention. Covers race, social isolation, unrequited love, parental loyalty, lots of themes covered in this book. So I'm really interested for this one as well. So you can see I've already got way more books than I can actually read, and still we have more. So this was an absolute find of the century in my local charity shop. I've lost track of what I paid for this. This was either 50p or it was 30p. I can't remember which one I found it in. I did share this in one of my last videos. I said that this was a literary breakdown of different books based on categorising different types of vampires. I was only half right, so I'm going to put that straight in this video. Yes, you do have a classification of different vampires based on how they appear in 100 years of literature. So the classifications are the classic adventure tale vampire, the psychological vampire, the science fiction vampire, the non-human vampire, the comic vampire, and the heroic vampire. But what I thought was just discussing each book, when I looked at the book properly, it's actually short stories. So what you've got then for each of those types of vampires, you've got 4 short stories, and I think that's fantastic. So it's a short story collection. There are a few excerpts from different books, like there is an excerpt from Salem's Lot, but it will tell you if it's an excerpt and not a short story. And then it also gives you, before the short story, a short breakdown of the author, the type of thing they did, and just a quick précis of what you're reading. So it's more a short story collection than a sort of literary breakdown, but it does categorise them, and I just like that categorisation of the different types of vampire that you can find in fiction reading. It kind of puts a slant on your reading, or another angle to come at your reading from. So I'm interested in at least getting to a couple of these stories in February. Okay, these are a couple of books that I got given free in a charity shop. Last year I walked into a charity shop and was looking at the books, and the woman whispered in my ear, "Do you like fantasy books?" And I said I did. They are run, the charity shop I was told was run by Christian owners, and all the fantasy and all of the horror and all of things like vampire books were always taken off the shelf and put in a bag out the back to be put in the bins. And she couldn't bear to put it in the bin and asked me if I just wanted for free this entire bag of books to take out of the shop with me. I said yes, I would. These two were in there, so these were completely free. We've got Nightwalker by Connie Hall, which is a story about it's a vampire love story. Gosh, this is an interesting one. All her life, Dracula hoped to find the mother who'd abandoned her, but she never expected the woman to be a shadowy double agent in the underworld, nor did she anticipate falling for the very vampire who wanted her mother destroyed. It could be good. Let's not judge a book by its cover. It could be good. And then this one, which I see all the time in charity shops, which I don't know whether that bodes well. Night World, Secret Vampire, Daughters of Darkness, and Enchantress. So we've got 3 books in one. In Secret Vampire, Poppy is dying, and it seems that James can offer her only chance for survival, but is the price too high? So we could attempt to see what this book reads like just by reading Secret Vampire. Again, not sure. It was free, and it's got a vampire in, so it's going on the pile. Okay, another one which I found in a charity shop. This one was also for £1. It was when I found the Anne Rice books. Is this book Scarlet? Set in France, 1793. Revolutionaries want blood, but vampires bite back. So It sounds fab. For one English maid, the stakes have never been higher. Revolutionary France is no place to be, especially for aristocrat vampires facing the guillotine. But the League of the Scarlet Pimpernel is determined to rescue them, and they have an ace up their sleeve. Eleanor, a lowly maid from an English estate with a striking resemblance to French royalty. For Eleanor, the League and its legendary deeds are little more than rumour until she's drawn into its most dangerous plot yet. The mission? Travel to France in disguise, impersonate Queen Marie Antoinette and rescue the royal family. If they succeed, it'll be the heist of the century. But there's more to fear than ardent revolutionaries, for Eleanor stumbles across a centuries-old war between vampires and their fiercest enemy, and they're out for blood. So this new was $16.99, and it doesn't look like it's been read at all. It just doesn't look like it's been read. Oh, look at that. That's just fantastic. It's £1, and it's vampires and the French Revolution, so we're going to give that one a go at some point, probably not in February. But if you like French Revolution or historical based novels, although I don't think this sounds like there's much history in there, it might be something that you're interested in. Last week I thought, have I got enough for February? I've got enough for about 20 Februaries here, but still I panicked and I went onto World of Books. All of these were £2 to £3 each, so I still haven't really broken the bank. I found the historian on there. To you, perceptive reader, I bequeath my history. This is by Elizabeth Kostova. Late one night, exploring her father's library, a young woman finds an ancient book and a cachet of yellowing letters addressed anonymously to "my dear and unfortunate successor." Her discovery plunges her into a world she never dreamed of, a labyrinth where the secrets of her father's past and her mother's mysterious fate connect to an evil hidden in the depths of history. So, this is a vampire novel. I have no idea what it's like. It's quite a well-known vampire novel, and I'm quite interested to read it. Another modern one as well, which I found, was Let the Right One In. 12-year-old Oscar is an outsider, bullied at school, dreaming about his absentee father, bored with life on a dreary housing estate. One evening he meets the mysterious Ellie. As a romance blossoms between them, Oscar discovers Ellie's dark secret. She is a 200-year-old vampire, forever frozen in childhood and condemned to live on a diet of fresh blood. Now a major feature film. Perhaps I could read it and watch it. There are some horrifying pictures from the film. Oh, it sounds terrifying, but that's has come into the collection. And finally, oh my gosh, I saw this one and I went onto Amazon to look at it in more detail, and it was so expensive everywhere else apart from this one listing on World of Books where it was on there for £3. And because it was just so expensive everywhere else, I bought it. But I didn't just buy it because it looked fabulous and I thought it would look really good on my shelf. It also goes through loads of books. It gives a column of commentary. It's full of artwork as well, but it also contains a tale that I think I want to read from in here. It contains Carmilla, and I almost bought Carmilla new for February. I wanted to read that alongside Dracula, but to get Carmilla in an edition which I liked, it was like £12. And then when I realised that Carmilla was actually in here with a commentary column as well and lots of artwork and photographs with it, I thought, well, I can get this for £3 and I can read Carmilla in this book. So I think I'm going to read Carmilla as well as Dracula for February, and I'm going to utilise that book like this. You can see there's lots of artwork throughout this, which is lovely. So it might even help me track down some artists as well who are well known for vampire work. And if we look at it without the dust jacket, look at that. Into the mysterious and seductive world of the undead. And you get to meet all of these authors. I don't know yet whether that's in full with stories or whether it is excerpts or whether it's in literary fiction. I will know more at the end of February. But that's it, guys. That is all of my pile of possibilities. Like I say, I do want to slow down, and it doesn't seem like this video is a video where I am saying I am slowing down. But I do want to read Dracula. I do want to read a Gothic literature, non-fiction. I'm going to say 2 books, and I'm going to absolutely sink into them, absolutely enjoy them. If I get to any more, then, you know, so be it. Oh, witchy books as well, because there's also Fanuary for Ben Reed's Good. So I've got this one, The Witches of Vardo, to read for Fanuary. So that's 3 books there, that's a big book as well. So that's going to be more than enough. I do not want to race. That's going to wait for another day. I picked them up at bargain prices. They can just sit on the shelves and wait. So please don't rush. Please don't put any pressure on yourself. I know one of you said you're joining in with a witch book because you don't like the idea of vampires. Brilliant, that's fine, whatever works for you. Please don't think you can't play or swap around some of these prompts. Like if vampires really isn't your thing, but you really want to take part, then shift it to another area, sort of Gothic horror. Go for a witchcraft book. That's absolutely fine. Make it work for you and have fun, and don't race, because I don't want you to have any pressure. I need to tell myself that on repeat, which I've been doing. I did race in January. I loved it, but I raced. No more. I want to nip it in the bud. So guys, have fun. No racing through our books. Let's just love them. And I'll see you next time. Happy reading. Bye.